Marissa laughed like it was the cutest joke in the world and said, "If Ethan ever proposed, I'd probably marry my job instead." The whole table heard it. A couple people did that awkward little cough laugh like they were trying to help her land it. I just set my fork down, smiled once and said, "Good to know." Then I paid the bill, drove us home in silence, and started planning the cleanest exit of my life. Hey friends, please like this video and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you, it's all thanks to you. I'm Ethan, I'm 31. I live in Richmond, Virginia, in a 2-bedroom condo we rent off Monument Avenue, the kind with thin walls and a parking spot that's always half taken by somebody's bumper. I work inventory control at a medical supply warehouse out by the airport. It's not glamorous. It's barcodes, audits, cycle counts, and getting yelled at when hospitals need something yesterday. I'm the steady type. I don't drink much. I don't post much. I like my bills paid on time, my truck maintained, and my weekends calm. Marissa was the opposite of calm. She was 30, sharp as a tack, and always moving. She ran marketing for a boutique fitness studio downtown. Her whole world was before and after photos, member retention, brand partnerships, and looking like she had it all figured out. She was beautiful and magnetic in public, the kind of person who could walk into a room and become the plan. We'd been together a little over 3 years. We moved into that condo after year 2, signed a lease with both our names, split utilities, and tried to build a life that looked like the one she liked on her feed. We weren't married, no kids, no shared house, thank God. The only thing that really tied us together was a joint checking account we used for rent and bills, and a shared Gmail we'd made when we moved in because it was easier to have one place for landlord emails, utility notices, and receipt confirmations. At least that's what we told ourselves. I didn't fall for her because of the highlight reel. I fell for her because in the beginning she treated my steadiness like it was rare. She'd call me her anchor. She'd say, "I like that you don't need chaos to feel alive," and I believed her. There's one night I always think about now, like my brain keeps replaying it as proof that I didn't imagine the good part. It was about a year in. She just lost her job at a small marketing agency, not fired in some dramatic way. They just restructured. She came to my place with mascara streaks, trying to hold it together in my kitchen while she told me she didn't know what she was going to do. Her shoulders were shaking and she kept saying, "I can't go back to my parents, Ethan, I can't." I didn't give her some big speech. I just opened the cabinet, took out a mug, and put the kettle on. I sat her down, slid my laptop across the table, and said, "Let's update your resume tonight. We'll get you a plan, one step at a time." She looked at me like I'd handed her oxygen. Later, when she calmed down, she leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "You're the only person who makes me feel safe without making me feel small." I remember thinking, okay, this is real. This is worth building around. For a long time it was. She bounced back, got hired at the fitness studio, and started climbing. We started talking about the next step, in that vague way couples do. A nicer place, a bigger trip, maybe a ring someday when it made sense. I didn't rush it, but I wasn't scared of it. Then something shifted. It wasn't one big thing. It was 3 to 6 months of tiny changes that all leaned in the same direction. She started treating my steadiness like it was boring, like it was a limitation. She got protective with her phone, not just normal privacy, like screen down every time I walked in, like stepping into the hallway to take calls that used to happen right in front of me, like new passwords and a new "you can't use my charger because it messes with my battery" rule that made no sense. She also got new routines, networking happy hours, studio partner dinners, brand events, stuff that sounded legit, and I wanted to be the supportive boyfriend, not the suspicious one, so I'd nod and say, "Have fun," and I'd make myself dinner and watch a game alone. The comparisons started as jokes, little paper cuts. "Brandon used to take me to places with live music," she'd say, like she was remembering a fun detail from a past life. Brandon was her ex. They dated before me. He was flashy, real estate, loud watch, loud car, loud opinions. When we started dating, she told me she was relieved to be done with that energy. Now his name started showing up like a ghost at dinner. "Brandon would have known the bartender," she said once, when we were out at a small spot in Scott's Addition. I smiled and kept eating, but my stomach tightened. We also started clashing over money in a new way, not about bills. Those got paid. It was about lifestyle. She'd come home with shopping bags, talk about investing in her image, and then make little comments about my clothes being too warehouse. One day she held up my old leather wallet and said, "Babe, this is tragic." I laughed like it didn't bother me, but it did. not because I cared about the wallet, because it was like she was embarrassed to be linked to me. The biggest red flag, and the one I ignored the longest, was how she handled respect in public. In private, she could be sweet. In public, she started acting like I was her assistant. She'd interrupt me mid-sentence at parties. She'd correct me over dumb stuff like street names. She'd post photos where I looked good, but tag the location and her outfit brand like I was background scenery. I talked to my buddy Devin about it at work one day. Devin sits 2 desks over from me, handles shipping documentation, and has been married since he was 22. He's the guy who doesn't gossip, but he also doesn't let you lie to yourself. I said maybe she's just stressed. She's trying to build her career. Devin didn't even look up from his monitor. He just said, stress doesn't make you disrespectful. It reveals what you think you can get away with. That line stuck in my head. Around that time, something else started happening with our shared Gmail. At first I didn't notice, then I did. I'm the one who pays rent through the landlord portal. Hank, our landlord, is this older guy who still prints things out and calls you buddy. The portal emails confirmations to the shared inbox. Utilities do too, so I check it a lot. One afternoon, I'm at my desk doing a cycle count report, and my phone buzzes with a Gmail notification. Subject line, reservation confirmed, the Jefferson Hotel, Richmond. That's not a utility bill. I clicked it because it was our shared inbox. It wasn't snooping. It was literally the email address we both used for stuff that affected the household. The message was from Open Table and the hotel restaurant, plus a confirmation for a spa package. It included 2 names for the reservation. Marissa and Caleb. Not Marissa plus guest, not Marissa plus one. It was written like a couple booking something. Caleb wasn't a studio member, not a friend she'd mentioned, not a coworker I knew, just a name. My first impulse was to close it and pretend I hadn't seen it. My second impulse was to get angry. My third impulse was to breathe and take a screenshot for my own sanity, then forward the email to my personal address with no comment. Quiet, lawful. It was sent to our shared inbox. It was in plain view. It was not a hack. It was not a trick. It was just there. That night I didn't accuse her. I watched. She came home late, smelling like perfume and the cold air outside. She kicked her shoes off and said, "Long day. We had a partnership meeting." I said, "How'd it go?" She shrugged like it didn't matter, then looked at her phone and smiled at something on the screen. Not at me, at the screen. I asked one calm question, "Who's Caleb?" Her head snapped up. For half a second, her eyes widened. Then her face rearranged itself into that smooth, confident expression she used when she wanted to control the room. "Why are you asking?" I held her gaze. I saw a reservation email in the shared inbox. She blinked, then laughed like I'd told a joke. "Oh my God, that. Caleb is a vendor rep. He's helping with a campaign. It's a work thing." I didn't argue, I just nodded once. Okay. And that's the thing about being the steady type. People assume you're slow. They assume because you don't explode, you don't notice. They assume you're calm means they can rewrite reality in front of you. 2 weeks later came the night that changed everything. One of Marissa's friends, Priya, was having a birthday dinner. Priya is nice, honestly. She's a paralegal, always organized, always polite. She picked a trendy place by the river with a long table, small plates, and loud lighting that makes everyone look like they're in a commercial. Marissa insisted we go. She wore a dress that looked like it belonged on someone who gets photographed for a living. I wore dark jeans and a button-down. Clean, simple. I didn't try to compete. I just tried to show up. Dinner started fine. Wine, toasts, people laughing. I made small talk with a guy across from me about the flying squirrels in traffic on I-64. Then someone, I think it was Priya's boyfriend, made a joke about proposals. Something like, 30 is when people start getting weird about rings. A couple people laughed. Priya did that playful thing where she pointed at Marissa and said, "Don't you start." Marissa tilted her head, smirking, enjoying the attention. She put her hand on the table like she was about to deliver a punchline. She looked right at me and said, loud enough for everyone, "If Ethan ever proposed, I'd probably marry my job instead." The table went quiet for a beat, not dead silent, but the laughter died in the air like someone turned a knob down. A woman on the end of the table said, "Oh my," then caught herself and reached for her drink. Somebody else did a little oof. Marissa laughed again, like she expected everyone to join in. I felt heat in my face, but I didn't raise my voice. I didn't glare. I didn't storm out like a movie scene. I just took a sip of water, set the glass down, and said, "Good to know." She rolled her eyes. "Relax, babe, it's a joke." I looked at her for a second, then at the table. "I'm relaxed." The server came by. I flagged her down and asked for the check calmly, like I always do. When it arrived, I paid for my portion and Marissa's portion too, not because she deserved it, because I didn't want a scene over money. I wanted to leave with my dignity intact. In the car, Marissa started in before we even left the parking lot. "You're being dramatic." I kept my eyes on the road. "I'm not." She huffed. "Everyone jokes. You're just insecure." There it was, the old move, turn my reaction into my flaw. I said evenly, "You embarrassed me on purpose." She laughed again, sharper this time. "Oh my God, you're acting like I called you ugly. It's not that deep." I didn't fight, I didn't plead, I didn't ask her to take it back, I just drove. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom and shut the door hard enough to make the wall picture rattle. I stood in the kitchen for a minute, listening to the condo settle. Then I opened my laptop. That's beat 6, the quiet decision. It didn't feel heroic. It felt clean, like a switch flipped and the noise stopped. I realized something simple. I wasn't going to live as an option, not an accessory, not the safe guy she kept around while she chased validation, not the person she could disrespect in public and then call insecure in private. So I planned not revenge, just separation. First, I pulled up the lease. Both our names were on it. We had 5 months left. I checked the landlord portal for policies. Hank had emailed us when we signed it. The lease allowed a lease transfer with approval, or one party could be removed if the other qualified alone. Otherwise, early termination required a fee. Second, I looked at our bills. The joint checking account was for rent and utilities. It had my paycheck direct deposit and hers too, but I'd been putting more in, not because she asked, because I didn't like being late on anything. I also had the utilities mostly under my name because I set them up when we moved in. Electricity, internet, water was through the landlord. Third, I checked what I legally controlled. My paycheck, my personal savings, my credit cards, my auto-pay systems. The joint account was a convenience, not a marriage. That mattered. I also opened the shared Gmail and searched Caleb again. More emails came up, not just the Jefferson reservation, a concert ticket confirmation, a rideshare receipt, a couple "thanks for meeting today," follow-ups from a brand rep email address. One of them had a calendar invite attached that listed Marissa plus Caleb dinner with a heart emoji in the description. It was sitting right there in the shared inbox like a piece of trash someone forgot to take out. I didn't need to play detective. I didn't need to hack her phone. I didn't need to break into anything. The truth had been delivered to the email address we shared, in plain view, like the universe was tired of me pretending. I forwarded the relevant emails to myself. Again, not to get her, just to keep my own reality straight. Gaslighting only works when you don't have receipts. The next morning, Marissa acted like nothing happened. She came into the kitchen in one of my hoodies, poured coffee, and said, "Too sweet, so are we okay?" That question wasn't love, it was control. It was her checking if the leash still worked. I said, "I'm going to work." She frowned. "Ethan, come on." I looked at her and kept my voice calm. "I'm not talking about it right now." She stared at me like she couldn't believe I was allowed to do that. Then she scoffed. "Fine, be weird." I went to work, I did my job. I smiled at Devin like normal. I didn't tell him everything. I didn't need a committee. I needed execution. By lunch, I had called Hank. Hank answered like he always does. "Hey buddy, what's up?" I said, "I need to ask about the lease. If one of us wants to move out, what are the options?" He paused. "Everything okay?" "Just exploring options," I said, truth without drama. He explained the process. If one person wanted to leave, the other could apply to take over the lease. If they didn't qualify, we could terminate early with a fee plus notice. He also said he had another tenant interested in a unit like ours and could probably re-rent quickly, which might reduce penalties depending on timing. Hank wasn't my friend, but he was fair. I thanked him and asked him to email the details to the shared inbox and my personal email. He did. Next, I went to the bank app and changed my direct deposit to my personal account. That takes a payroll cycle to fully switch, but it starts the process. I also set a hard boundary on the joint account. I transferred only my portion for the next rent payment, plus enough to cover utilities through the end of the week. I didn't drain it. I didn't steal. I didn't sabotage. I just stopped feeding it beyond what was fair. Then I logged into the internet provider and removed Marissa as an authorized user on the account, not to punish her, because if I moved out, I didn't want my name tied to her new billing choices. I scheduled the service transfer for the date Hank said would work if she stayed. I also called my friend Ramon, who trains people at a small gym near my warehouse. Ramon isn't a therapist. He's just a guy who knows how to keep you focused. I said, "Hey, you free this week? I need to get my head straight." He said, "Come in tomorrow, no talking, just work." That helped more than any dramatic confrontation ever could. That night I didn't announce anything. I just started packing my personal stuff quietly. Clothes, documents, the box of old photos I hadn't looked at in forever, my laptop, my tools, anything sentimental, anything I'd regret leaving behind if things got messy. Marissa noticed, of course. She stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. "What are you doing?" she asked. I folded a shirt and put it in a duffel, organizing. She narrowed her eyes. "Are you seriously still mad about the dinner thing?" I didn't look up. It wasn't a dinner thing. She stepped closer. "Then what is it? Because you're acting insane." I finally met her gaze, calm, not angry, just done. I said, "You don't respect me, and you're seeing someone else." Her face flashed fear, then rage, then that practiced calm again. "Oh my God, here we go. Who am I seeing?" I didn't bite. I didn't argue over details. I just said, "The shared inbox makes it pretty clear." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Then she laughed like she'd regained control. "You went through my emails. That's creepy." I held her eyes. "It's our inbox, for bills. Your dates are in there." She snapped, "They're not dates. You're twisting things because you're insecure." I nodded once like I'd heard enough. "Okay." That okay drove her crazy, because I wasn't giving her a fight to win. Over the next 2 days, I executed the clean exit like a checklist. I rented a small storage unit across town. I scheduled a mover for 3 hours on a Saturday morning when Marissa had a studio event. I confirmed with Priya politely that Marissa would be gone. Priya didn't know what I was doing. She just said, "Yeah, she'll be there early." Why? "Just checking," I said, and left it. I also updated my mailing address for anything important. Employer, bank, insurance. I changed my passwords, not hers, mine. I removed shared devices from my streaming accounts and financial apps. I made sure nothing of mine stayed logged into the TV. Friday night, Marissa came home in a good mood, like the tension didn't exist. She sat on the couch and patted the cushion next to her. "Come here," she said, sweet again. "Let us be normal." I stayed standing. "I'm moving out." Her smile froze. "What?" "I'm moving out," I repeated. She sat up. "Are you kidding me? Over a joke?" I shook my head once. "Not over a joke." She stared like she was trying to calculate the right combination of words to regain leverage. "Ethan, you can't just leave. We have a lease." "I talked to Hank," I said. "There are options. You can apply to take it over if you want to stay." Her eyes widened. "You went to Hank." "I handled logistics," I said. "That's what I do." She sprang up, voice rising. "This is insane. You're sabotaging me." "I'm separating," I said, still calm, "not sabotaging." She tried a different angle, softer, almost pleading. Okay. If you're upset, we can talk. We can do therapy. Don't blow up our whole life." I looked at her for a second, and I felt something almost like sadness. Not because I wanted to stay, because she still thought this was negotiation. I said, "I'm not going to compete for basic respect." She scoffed. "So you're really going to throw everything away because you decided I'm the villain?" I didn't answer. Silence is an answer when you've already decided. Saturday morning, she left early, dressed in studio-branded gear, talking into her phone like she was on stage. She didn't kiss me goodbye. She didn't even look at the bags by the door. As soon as her car pulled out, I got to work. The movers came at 9, 2 guys, professional, quick. I told them exactly what was mine. I didn't take shared furniture. I didn't take anything I hadn't bought. I took my mattress, my desk, my kitchen stuff, my clothes, my electronics, and the things that mattered to me. I left the place clean. I didn't break anything. I didn't leave a mess like a tantrum. Before I walked out for the last time, I left a note on the kitchen counter. 8 words, simple, not dramatic. You made it public, I believed you. Then I locked the door behind me and drove to my new place. It wasn't fancy. It was a small 1-bedroom in a quieter part of town, rented month to month. I'd already toured it and signed the paperwork. It had beige carpet, a tiny balcony, and a neighbor who played old country music too loud. But it was mine. It was peaceful. The meltdown started before I finished unloading. My phone lit up with Marissa's name. 1 call, 2, 3, then texts. Where are you? Are you serious right now? Answer me. Then the switch flipped to manipulation. Ethan, please, let's talk. Don't do this. I'm sorry about the joke. Then rage. You're pathetic. You never deserved me anyway. Then back to bargaining. Please just come home tonight. I didn't respond, not because I wanted to punish her, because any response would become fuel. She'd turn it into a debate, a fight, a story where she was the victim and I was the unstable boyfriend who abandoned her. I kept it clean. Devin texted me around noon, you alive? I replied, yeah, just moved out. He wrote back, proud of you, stay quiet. Flying monkeys arrived by evening. Priya called, I let it go to voicemail. She texted, Marissa is freaking out. Can you at least talk to her? This is so sudden. Then Marissa's sister, Leela, messaged me on Instagram. Leela had always been polite, but she was loyal to Marissa in that way sisters are. Ethan, what the hell did you do? I wrote 1 sentence back. I moved out. Please don't contact me about it. Leela replied with a paragraph about how Marissa was under a lot of pressure and how I owe her a conversation. I didn't answer. Marissa finally emailed me from her personal email to the shared inbox and to my personal address, like she was trying to force a trail. Subject: this is not okay. In the email she wrote, you blindsided me. You violated my privacy. You are controlling. You made me look stupid. I read it once and archived it. Then, because I still believe in being fair even when someone isn't, I sent 1 message. 1, short, clear. I will communicate about the lease only. I'm not discussing the relationship. She replied instantly, so you're just done. After 3 years, you can't even talk. I didn't respond. Over the next week, she tried every version of reality. She told Priya I was unstable. She told Leela I snooped. She told some studio friends that I couldn't handle her success. I know because one of them, a guy named Caleb, yes, that Caleb, viewed my story on Instagram at like 2 in the morning. I hadn't blocked him yet because I didn't even know his last name. Seeing his profile picture pop up was like the final stamp on the envelope. So I blocked them both. The lease part got handled like adults, eventually. Hank emailed us options. Marissa didn't qualify a loan without a cosigner because her income was commission-heavy and the property manager wanted stable numbers. She tried to pressure me to stay on the lease while living separately, which is code for keep paying while I do whatever. I said no. I agreed to the early termination fee split evenly. I sent my portion directly to the landlord portal with the receipt. I didn't argue about pennies. I didn't try to win money. I just wanted clean separation. When the lease ended and the unit was re-rented, that was it. The last thread cut. The rebuild part wasn't cinematic. It was repetitive and boring, and exactly what I needed. I started going to Ramon's gym 3 mornings a week before work. No headphones at first, just the sound of weights and breath and my thoughts settling down. Ramon would nod and say, again, like he was teaching my body that I could survive discomfort without begging for relief. I ate better. I stopped skipping breakfast. I got my sleep back. I focused at work. My boss noticed. 2 months later, I got offered a lead role on a new inventory software rollout because apparently I look calm when everything is on fire. That used to be my relationship skill. Now it was my career advantage. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected. I went to a small live show with Devin and his wife. I visited my parents for a weekend and sat on their back porch like I was a kid again. I didn't trash Marissa. I just said it wasn't healthy and let that be enough. The quietest win was my own mind. I stopped replaying the dinner moment as humiliation and started seeing it as clarity. She told the truth out loud in front of witnesses. She saved me years. Months passed. I didn't date right away. I wasn't trying to replace her. I was trying to rebuild my standards. I learned to like my own apartment. I learned to enjoy evenings without someone turning everything into a performance. One night, maybe 5 months after I moved out, I opened my email and saw a forwarded message from the shared inbox that I must have left logged in somewhere. It was an automated notification. Your account password has been changed. It wasn't mine, it was the shared Gmail. Marissa had finally changed it. I stared at that message and laughed once quietly, not because it was funny, because it was symbolic. Even the shared inbox was done. I deleted it and kept living. The final run-in happened almost 9 months after the breakup, at a place I never expected. My company had a booth at a local charity food bank fundraiser held at the Science Museum of Virginia. It was one of those community events with silent auctions, local sponsors, and people in semi-nice clothes pretending they weren't sweating under the lights. Devin came with me because he volunteers with the food bank. I was there in a simple blazer, name tag on, talking about supply chain donations like it mattered, because it did. I was carrying 2 cups of coffee back from a little stand when I saw her. Marissa stood near the auction table, in a sleek dress, hair perfect, smiling too brightly at someone she didn't know. And there, right next to her, was Caleb, taller than me, expensive shoes, the type of guy who looks like he lives in airports. For a second, my body tried to do the old thing, the stomach drop, the urge to shrink, the urge to prove something. Then it passed. Because I didn't belong to her story anymore. Marissa saw me and her smile faltered. She excused herself from whoever she was talking to and walked straight over, like she'd rehearsed it. Ethan, she said, breathy, like the name itself was a memory. Wow. I nodded, Marissa. She looked me up and down, taking inventory like she always did. You look different. Healthy, Devin murmured beside me, just loud enough for me to hear. He wasn't being mean, he was being loyal. Marissa ignored him, her eyes flicked to the coffee cups. So you're volunteering now, that's nice. I didn't take the bait, it's a good cause. She stepped closer. Can we talk, like actually talk? I've been meaning to. I kept my tone even. About what? She swallowed. About how everything ended. You just disappeared. You made me feel like I didn't matter. I almost smiled, not because it was funny, because it was predictable. She wanted to rewrite history where she was the abandoned one. I said, calm as a flat road, you didn't lose me in the move out. You lost me when you made me a joke. Her face tightened. I said I was sorry. I looked her in the eyes, not angry, not cold, clear. This is the boundary, I said. You don't get access to me just because you miss the stability. She flinched like I'd slapped her, but I hadn't raised my voice once. Caleb appeared behind her, watching, pretending not to. Marissa glanced back at him, then back at me, like she was realizing she couldn't control the scene. She tried one last angle, softer. So that's it, you're really done. I held the coffee cup steady and delivered the one line I'd earned. I'm not your option anymore. Then I stepped around her, walked back to our booth, and handed Devin his coffee. My hands didn't shake, my chest didn't tighten, it felt like air. Later that night, I drove home with the window cracked, cold air coming in, and I realized my life was quiet again. Not lonely, quiet, mine. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.